All right, let's go to the phone lines real quick. We got Chuck on the line. Chuck, good morning.
Good morning. Happy Bayou Classic to you all. Belated Happy Thanksgiving. And I'll be watching it. And this is a special week. Like I was telling people, it was my 49th birthday this past Monday, November 25th.
Happy belated birthday, Chuck.
Yeah, thank you. I always expect all these things during this week when around Thanksgiving. Oh yeah, I truly appreciate it, and it's great to be in great health and be able to watch the Bayou Classic. I've attended my share of Bayou Classic games in the past. I'm not down in New Orleans. I'll be watching on the tube. But I remember that was one of them. I know you Southernites love this one. Back in 1987, that's when we have Marino Chasm was athletic director, and he was acting head coach until they could find a coach, and he did it for 2 seasons, I think 87, 88 during that time. And in '87, they went and beat Grambling because he had just fired Otis Washington, and he just took over the coaching duties and while he's athletic director, and they went and beat Grambling. They went down to the wire. A guy from Grambling named Terry Rose from Houston. I think he was wingback. He ran it down. Grambling had a chance to win the game. It was a great ball game, and Grambling was trying to win the ball game, and he got it down there and made a great run and phoned the ball, went in the back of the end zone for a touchback, and that won the game. That won the game for Southern. Coach Chasm was a fiery coach, and he was good. He was kind of arguing. They had a discussion, and Coach Rob, humble, a guy. He was kind of mellow, kind of cool, calm, and collect. But Coach Chasm was good. His team had to hold him back, and they got it right, and they didn't have replay during that. They didn't have reviews during the time, and they looked at it on the monitor, and when he fumbled, and that ball fumbled. And it was pandemonium in the Superdome that year, and they ended up winning again in '88. '88 it went well as well for you all. Charles Wright from here in Neville High School, quarterback. He was a freshman quarterback. He pulled it through. By the way, he's principal of Ouachita Parish High School. He was Nate Harrison's teammate. He came out victorious in that one. Aeneas Williams was on that team as well. Your Pro Football Hall of Famer, and he played in the '89 Bayou Classic as well. I got a chance to watch him.
Those '80s Bayou Classic, I never got to be a part of. But coming through the '90s, Chuck, being a kid myself, man, that's what I watched on television as the older folks in the family said, you know what, you're not ready to head down to New Orleans yet. There's too much going on. But, to have those memorable experiences, man, this thing has been on national television for a long time to give the audience of the world an opportunity to just peek into what HBCU, black college sports, and the culture looks like. And it gives it to you everywhere that one could want, from the step shows to the bands, to the fans, and to our football teams. And so, Chuck, what was your first time just hearing about the Bayou? Can you remember, Chuck?
Oh, yeah. Back in the early '80s, Otis Washington, legendary coach of St. Augustine High School in New Orleans, won the state championships in the 1970s at the all-black male Catholic high school when he was coaching at Southern. That was the first time ever being knowing what the Bayou Classic was all about. Was in the '80s when I was a child, and having Southern won the Bayou Classic that time with Otis Washington and one of my mother's brother-in-law. He was a graduate Southern. My mother and her sister, they're Grambling alums. All my parents, my dad and all. And dad played in the band there, but my uncle had a great. He was boogieing down. He did like Tom Benson did a Benson boogie. That was the first time I remember a Bayou Classic in the early '80s, and was Otis Washington. But the next time when they played, when Graham beat him, they wanted to run him off, and they did. He had it was a tough time. That's a tough place to coach down there. But that was my memorable was in the early '80s. See, I'm the age of the Superdome, which is the first game there was in 1975, and Grambling and Southern. That's when that Doug Williams got hurt in, and they put a guy lived 2 blocks from me, Dale Zimmerman. He's passed on. He was the second string quarterback. He came in. That's another one y'all want to hear about. It's on YouTube now. He and Sammy White, all those guys came out of Richwood High School. They played in that one, and he's connected with Dwight Scales, a wide receiver. But I became familiar with it in the early '80s.
The early '80s for me, it was through the '90s, and to really be here. Look, Chuck, this is my 14th straight year of not missing the Bayou Classic, and I get it all the time. When the family hits me up, they say, "Hey, what you doing for Thanksgiving?" I say, "Y'all must don't know. I'm in Louisiana. I'm going to the Bayou Classic." So for them, that's the only way they should know what I'm doing every year. It's a tradition, and moving forward, it's going to always be a tradition for my family and I to make it down here to New Orleans for the Bayou Classic. Hey, man, Chuck, I appreciate the call this morning.
All right, you all take care. And it's because it's on NBC, 1991, Nate Harrison, they won it for you all. Gerald Kimball was the head coach. Nate Harrison was the quarterback. I watched it that inaugural year in 1991. Joe Namath did the play. He was the play-by-play analyst of that Bayou Classic. I'm gonna land on that one. You all take care. Have fun and safe Bayou Classic.
Thank you, Chuck.
All right.
My man Chuck giving us a call from up in North Louisiana, the Monroe area to be exact. Chuck is one of those guys. He's deeply rooted to the HBCU culture, and that are the stories, that right there, the stories that we talk about that often don't get talked about, especially on a public platform like this, is the memories that how big this ball game is to the memories of those who have been able to be blessed to attend it, and for those who get an opportunity to watch it.